we live?
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
behind the Defiant, but
I'm hiding back here. There's not much space for humans when you have a toy like this in front of you. And yes, it's a toy. It's the size of Power Wheels that kids used to ride on, but this is actually a toy from the 80s. Welcome to our first toy review as in this way of doing things. We've done a couple other reviews and talked about some other, some Marvel Legends, some GI Joe stuff, but this is the way we're going to be doing reviews from now on with an audience who can join in.
Super excited about the interactive audience aspect.
So first of all, I'm Justice, my wife Penelope. We are 2/3 of Farpoint Toys. We are a toy store here in South Jersey, brick and mortar, and we buy and sell toys, but we have a passion for them as well. It's not just about the money or anything like that. We love the stuff that we accumulate and put in the store. So we're going to talk today about...
And what's really cool is that we're going to be interacting with our audience as well, which is really neat.
Which most toy reviews don't do. Usually you go on YouTube and there's a toy review, and they're always well produced and well made, but we're going to bring some of our personality to what we do. We do live claim sales, and we have a group, and right now we're in one of our groups, our VIP group.
Can I spin this? Should I be afraid to spin it?
No, don't be scared. It's just a giant space shuttle.
Am I good to spin it?
Yep.
Do you like the live view that everyone else is seeing, or would you rather see our live view?
I don't know what that means, but I don't mind the view right there.
Yeah, they're a little lagged. So is this view good?
As long as I can still read the comments, that's...
Okay, yeah.
So...
This thing is amazing.
Today we're going to talk about the GI Joe Defiant Space Shuttle launch complex, the whole kit and caboodle. So, everybody has heard of the USS Flag, right? It's basically like the most famous 80s toy playset. You didn't have to play with GI Joe, but you knew a kid up the street who had a USS Flag, and it was everybody's kind of holy grail dream playset. That was 1985, I believe, the Flag came out. I got mine, I think, Christmas 85. And I was a spoiled brat, and I loved my Flag.
Wow, it looks great up there. Holy cow.
By 1987, I guess Hasbro was just like, we can do whatever we want to do. And they threw so much plastic at this massive... It's a playset. It's really 3 vehicles. They had gigantic cojones to put something like this together and manufacture this as a toy.
I can't think of any other toy from any other toy line that is as extensively huge, insanely detailed, and came with so much stuff. I mean, you've got Eternia, you've got the USS Flag, with My Little Pony of Paradise Estate. None of that stuff. Eternia, I guess, is the next closest one, but this is just outrageous.
So, the thing is, there are bigger play sets. The Sector's High, for instance, is probably bigger than this, but it's really just a blow-molded piece of plastic. The fact that this is so large and does so much, the doors open, the vehicles come apart, all the guns move. It has a mechanism
spin it
that you can raise the entire gantry section to actually launch your shuttle.
You're not going to do that, right?
I might. A little history of the shuttle we're talking about here. A couple years ago, now I'm a GI Joe collector myself.
No, really?
A couple years ago, I found an ad on Craigslist where a gentleman said he had a boxed Defiant and a flag, a loose flag. I don't think there was a box with a flag. So I went to go look at it, and the Defiant box was just... Here's the thing about playsets and vehicles and toys in big boxes. Either those boxes ended up going to the curb on Christmas morning because they're the things that everybody put the rest of the trash in.
Always.
Right? Or they ended up in a garage, or a place where you could store a big box, and moisture would always seep in. So the garage kept box of this, because it was on a concrete garage floor. It soaked in a lot of moisture, and over the 30 years it was sat there, the kid never put it together, never opened it. He was just like, oh, thanks, Mom and Dad, for this giant box. I'm just going to stare at it.
Wow.
The box got very moldy. It was covered in mold. It was disgusting.
The box itself was not salvageable, right?
Unsalvageable.
No.
But inside the box, this playset and vehicle is broken down into other boxes, and it's plastic. So mold doesn't tend, other than maybe making some dirty lines on it, which we cleaned off. It was pristine. So we decided to build it and build ourselves a perfectly, basically brand new Defiant. And I didn't have this as a kid. I think my parents, in '85 when the flag came out, I got it for Christmas. I had a small room, so the size and scale of the flag took up so much of my room that it only lasted about 2 weeks before it went into the attic. So I think by '87, I was getting a little older. I still played with GI Joe by then, but I think my parents were done with the big play sets. This wasn't even on my radar in 1987. I didn't even realize...
It's more ridiculous than I realized.
It is the height of 80s ridiculousness, I have to say. No doubt about it. Now, I think the MSRP was more than the flag as well.
That makes sense because it's so many moving bits and parts, and it is multiple toys in one. It's not just... The flag is the flag.
Yep. It's
it had its microphone, which I guess was an added feature, but it was still just the flag. This is 3 totally separate things.
The flag was a static playset. It was not a vehicle. And I'm going to say something very controversial. This is better than the flag. It is, and it's actually the flag. If you count the parts that make a USS flag, there's not that many parts. You can put together a flag, part by part. It'll cost you some money. They're very sought after, and it's because it's the grail.
It's the thing, yeah.
This is almost impossible to put together complete and new like this. Go find the parts.
Go find one.
Yeah. So we say it all the time. I just got very lucky finding the one in the box. And typically, if it was in a nice box, it wouldn't have gotten opened. So finding one in this kind of condition. Now, I have to say, today's sad thing.
Oh.
This was stored in our warehouse, safely on a shelf.
It looks amazing on camera. I can't get over it.
When I brought it in to wipe down and put on the pedestal here, getting ready for the talk, I bumped... There's 2 guns on top. I bumped these 2 guns into a shelf above, and this blue plastic is so brittle, cracked both sides. So, now this is not mint. I'm very upset by it. I was so upset earlier, I was like nauseous.
Yeah, he was not okay.
So Penelope carefully re-glued the small blue tab, because that's what it is. It's a tiny brittle blue tab right here that holds these gun placements in. I am not going to slide the gun back in there. They will just sit here. Well, maybe they'll go back in there at some point when I feel brave. But I'm going to take them off so I can open the gantry doors. So these... Yeah, see, Mark knows. So right now we have... If you're watching this on YouTube, we did this live on Facebook. In our Facebook group, our Patreon group. And our Patreons get to interact with us and see this review first. Yes. And Mark, who's a huge 80s toy guy, but also very G.I. Joe, just said the flag was 185 and the Defiant was 150 in 87 when it came out. So I think I said that. And it was... And listen, $50 in '87, that was a lot more money. That's probably crazy. This is probably $400 in today's money if I had
to. You mentioned our Patreon. If you guys are interested in becoming part of our talks behind the scenes in our VIP group, I'm going to throw up our Patreon link right there above my head. Please take a look at our page if you haven't done so already, so you can be part of the behind the scenes filming of what you're actually seeing right now. You can go ahead. I'm done my WH
so Mark,
spiel.
Someday we're going to have people, who are into the toy lines come and sit with us. And I'd love to I wish Mark could be here with us, but COVID and everything else. It's 3 vehicles in one, obviously. It cost Hasbro, Mark told me. I'm looking at comments right now. $1 million to tool this. So they invested more than $1 million, because you think about the time of the sculptors and, the tool makers, and then they have to send it back and forth to approve things. There are so many parts to this thing.
It's
that
insane.
they invested over $1 million just to get it a prototype made.
Sculpted, tooled,
Yep.
engineered, all of that stuff.
And it's well engineered. The only problem is 30-year-old plastic. So we have another camera here. I'm actually.
You want me to scroll the camera too?
If you notice, scroll to camera 2. If you notice, I didn't stick the stickers. These are the original sticker sheets.
Unstuck stickers.
Unstuck sticker sheets. Am I going the right way? All right.
There you go.
I don't want to use the original stickers. I might get repro stickers to put on it because these tend to, over time they get the stickiness of them. They lose the stickiness. You can see a little bit coming off this because this is where it was folded.
Being folded always sucks.
But these are the original sticker sheets. Sideways. This is hard to get used to.
You're good. You're good.
And then there's an instruction manual that tells you
where to stick the
where
stickers,
to stick the
or how to
where
put it
put
together,
the labels
or
on.
both.
So if I wanted to do it, this is label placement for the shuttle. This is label placement for the booster.
Jesus.
I don't know if I have the label placement for the gantry. Like I said, this originally was in a moldy box, so I think some of the original instructions had gotten moldy.
That's unfortunate.
But then there's instruction sheet 1, instruction sheet 2, and instruction sheet 3 for the 3 different vehicles.
So Mark is actually cautioning us that the weight on the gantry doors is going to be heavy, so maybe we should close it.
I'll close it in a minute. I'm going to pull the vehicles out.
I think we're pulling the vehicles out next.
So instruction sheet 1 talks about the crawler gantry and how to put all the pieces together. And then, and this is, one of the things that GI Joe is just famous for.
Look
is
at those
the
beautiful blueprints. Wow.
It's just so cool that they did these blueprints and had descriptions of what each part was. And this is the blueprints for the booster.
I'm sorry, is the number 8008? Is that the number on there? 8008. Did anybody ever make a boob joke with that?
That might be an in-joke with the designers, I gotta be honest with you. Where does it say 8008 at?
Right here on the sticker sheet and also on the blueprints that you just had out.
Oh, yeah.
8008. The first thing I saw out of the corner of my eye, it looked like it said boob.
And then we'll talk more about the figures it came with in a minute.
I love it.
But I'm going to pull the shuttle.
I've got to be honest, guys. I know almost nothing about this vehicle, so I'm just Vanna Whiting while Justin does all the heavy lifting here, literally.
Go back to camera 1.
You want me to go back to camera 1 on you there?
So this all attaches. These two, the shuttle and the booster, are attached to each other. This is nice and white. And Mark's right, leaning on these blue doors is...
Yeah, you're actually making me nervous. Let's close this thing.
So I'm going to pull the shuttle and booster out. I'm going to place them over here near camera 2.
You want me to go to camera 2?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the gantry a little bit.
Camera 2. Camera 1. Camera
So
2.
now that I opened it up...
Whew. Sigh of relief. Oh, man.
So this is... I don't want to do it with all the weight in it. Probably going to come out of frame here. This thing is so gigantic.
Yeah, it is going to come out of frame. I am so worried that this thing is just going to like fall apart.
I've only ever done this once before with this. So, like I said...
I'm just standing here with my mouth open.
This is not just gigantic, but it does all this stuff.
Yeah, it's mostly off frame now, unfortunately.
This is the way you play with this. Now, this is a vehicle or a playset. But it stands up and you can launch your ship. Has a launch platform here. And I believe this opens. Yep. And there's ladders and elevators for all your
I noticed there's a lot
space.
of random foot pegs, so you're meant to have your little guys
all
going
over the
up
place.
and down.
Yeah. I mean, it's not only a massive vehicle. It's a great playset. There's elevators that come up here to the 3 levels. Now, if I wanted to, I could put the booster back in here, put the whole unit back in. but I don't want to put the weight on the 30-year plastic.
No, please.
And the mechanism.
I'm going to have a heart attack.
You got gun turrets. You got gun turrets here. There are places for the technicians to work. There's some building, like, mechanical rooms and such.
Stations and things.
Yes, underneath where you would have, like, I wish they did more GI Joe Space Force. I know in the 90s they did the Star Brigade guys, which probably go really great with this. But it'd be really, maybe Battle Force 2000 would be cool to play with in these little like mechanical rooms,
like little mission control areas and stuff like that.
Yeah. Computers and such. It's just a lot of fun. I'm really into dioramas and things, so all the little kibble that they use in here and little computer stations, it's amazing. And I want to tell you, there are some, I believe, reused mold pieces.
Mark actually just mentioned, can you find mold imprints from other Joe toys?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
so that's one of the Easter eggs in here. I believe that there is a All Striker engine. Or that's in the Mobile Command Center. What else is in here? I know there are pieces and parts.
Watch your head on the open door there. Making me
that
nervous.
were reused.
Can we close that with that being open there?
No.
This thing is insane. I knew it was big, and I've seen it.
You've never seen it put up like this?
I've seen it out in the warehouse 1,000 times. I never realized how huge it was. It's making me nervous, literally just being next to it.
So if you see on the front, on Penelope's side, that's the driver's cabin, and where the driver sits, and probably a co-pilot.
Mark said there's snake armor in here somewhere.
I'd like to find that. So here's a driver sits. A lot of times when you find these used, the hinges and everything are broken on that.
Is there only room up front for one or two drivers? What do we have there?
You got a whole command post in here.
So there's two drivers here and then someone on the side?
Then you can have someone in here, yep. And the driver is...
there's some Mobat details, Mark also said.
See, I didn't do any research at all.
We were so busy trying to rehab it and clean it.
When I broke the guns, I got so upset that I almost gave up on this idea.
He had to go into a safe room and just be quiet for a while.
So couple things you need to look out for. This thing is very heavy, and although there are many wheels, if you leave this to rest on its wheels, that plastic is eventually going to bend, break, get wobbly. A lot of times you find these with busted wheels, which is why, if you see, I have it bolstered on 4x4s.
Yeah.
That go underneath and support the weight.
Not necessarily aesthetic, but very imperative.
Right.
To the...
So Mark just said it has 2 drivers and a radar operator.
That makes sense.
It only came with 1 driver, Hardtop, who is a phenomenal figure. Here, I'll actually show him if you go to camera.
Yeah.
So, just like with any other big vehicles, the drivers tend to be hard to find because they only came with the vehicles. And, if you just wanted to collect the figures, you had to buy a $150 space shuttle to get this guy. He has his gun and his microphone. These are not the figures that came with this boxed example. The figures that came with this... Go back to this camera. The figures that came with this Defiant were still sealed in their bags with their file cards. And because this is from my personal collection, I don't collect bagged figures. So I sold them to help mitigate paying for this. And I just found, loose complete examples, which is the way I collect. And you can collect any way you want. Of course, the bagged figures with their file cards are worth more, but I don't collect just for value. I collect for playability and for displaying. And I like the way loose figures display. So I'd like to find some of that reused kibble.
This thing is insane.
It is insane. Dude, everyone says the flag is the most impressive G.I. Joe thing until this is put in front of them.
And again, I'm a G.I. Joe dilettante at best. I have my favorite characters and my favorite vehicles, but I was never into it as a kid, certainly not like Justin was. The flag is cool. I like the flag because it's a thing. It's a single thing. This is way more impressive. And like I keep saying, it's honestly a little scary. Is it going to fall on me? Like
This toy could hurt you. This toy could absolutely fall on you and hurt. There were probably kids that were hurt. A lot of times when you see
find the
these,
snake armor parts.
a lot of times when you see these, unfortunately, the blue doors here are broken. These are the most brittle parts, I believe.
Yeah.
There's something about the blue plastic.
You found that out firsthand earlier today.
Yeah, I found it out firsthand. We've sold a couple of these, most notably to our friend Mark, who is here commenting and helping us. The snake armor is in the gantry door interior, so we're going to look at that.
I wanted to find it on my own.
So Mark, who is fantastic at rehabbing vehicles,
Can I turn it and look?
redid it completely, and it looks just as beautiful as this one. So in the blue, he said. Now we're looking for snake armor in
We'll find it. We'll find it.
the blue gantry door. I'm looking.
I'll find it. We'll find it. We're gonna spin this thing around quite a bit.
Yeah. The elevators are cool.
This is a nice. Guns. I like the backside view that we're giving everybody, or it's actually the front.
Yeah, that's the front.
It's funny. I feel like it's the back, but it's the front. Obviously, it's where the drivers are. No wonder this thing had 2 drivers. How do you? This is insane. I can't. This thing is crazy.
It is gigantic. You could basically play with all of your GI Joe figures around this.
I'm really blown away. This thing's much bigger than I expected.
Freddie wants one too. So, back when I got this, I want to say maybe 8 years ago, the value wasn't what it is now.
GI Joe has really taken a turn.
Even in a beat box, I think it was worth maybe $1,000 or $1,200 then with a box. I believe even in a beat box, it's probably doubled in value since then. I wouldn't even know what it would cost if you just started doing part by part. Andrew wants to know, was there ever plans to make a Cobra equivalent? Murder Son. So, unfortunately, I mean, listen, Cobra had some fantastic vehicles and playsets. The Terradrome is so much fun, and it's big, but it doesn't rival this by any means.
I kind of want to open this, but I don't want to open this, so I'm not going
to. But no, unfortunately, they never did a Cobra flag. They never did a Cobra, space shuttle of this caliber.
The Terradrome's pretty freaking cool, though.
Yeah, Terradrome's great. I mean, we'll do a review of that at some point, because that'll be great on the Lazy Susan.
It'll be great on the Lazy Susan. It's no flag, and it's certainly no Defiant. But
so here's the thing: they reused, and we'll get to that. They reused the mold of the actual Defiant shuttle for GI Joe once again, and made the Crusader, and it's the same mold, but they did something really cool with the Crusader. They put the Cobra Night Raven came with a pod jet. And GI Joe, the good guys got a version of that little pod, and it went inside of the Crusader. And it's so cool that you can open that hatch and have a white version of the Night Raven pod inside of the Crusader. They really went overboard with the space stuff, if you like, amazingly.
No, I mean, rightfully so, I guess. We were all about space. We cared about it back in the 80s. God, this thing is huge. We pulled the camera back as far as we could and moved the table forward as far as we could, and we really thought that we had enough room for this whole thing.
I just want to give it a little help as it comes. The last thing I want to do live on camera is have my Defiant smash.
I mean, it would be pretty viral. Like, you might go viral.
It reminds me of there's a video of a guy like holding a priceless.
I hear springs springing.
I hear springs springing.
I don't like the sound.
Me neither. Sounds like guitar strings.
It does. It's freaking me out,
honestly. All right. I feel like something's going to shoot off of it. So this is its own vehicle. I mean, this is cool enough. You don't even need the...
So, I gotta say, what other vehicles fit inside here, aside from what it came with? Could you park anything else in there?
All kinds of stuff.
Like, what fits?
This could be a transport vehicle for...
Yeah.
You could probably fit a Sky Striker with the wings in.
Okay.
But you could certainly fit a Mobat or a
all
Vamp.
all the smaller stuff.
Yeah. You might even be able to fit a whale in there.
I feel like a whale would fit.
I feel like a whale would fit. That would have been a great idea. 2 APCs would fit.
Yeah.
So this could be a transport vehicle, if you use your imagination, for any of the GI Joe stuff. Now, I've seen people take this and do customs and make Cobra versions or Python Patrol versions.
I can't even.
So you can't use a Crusader with the booster. Yes, because there's no metal hook. So I'll show you that when I go to the next camera on the other vehicles. There is a hook mechanism that connects the Defiant with the booster, which the Crusader didn't incorporate because it didn't come with a booster. And it was probably a little less to
I keep looking directly above the camera because we have a giant screen showing the camera view.
Yeah, same.
This thing is enormous, and I can't. It's so big in front of me, and then looking at it on the TV, it's even bigger. It's crazy.
So Mark is a great co-pilot here. Mark said the
sound.
sound.
What am I, chopped liver?
Well, he owns one of these and plays with it and knows it. He said that sound scares everyone who owns it.
It's
so
terrifying.
I'm still settling down for
it
that.
Literally
and he
sounds
said
like...
a killer whale can sit inside. That's somebody who tested it and knows, which is amazing.
First-hand experience.
Let's go to camera 2 over here.
Camera 1?
It's going to be hard because I can't look back and forth. It's hard. I don't have a monitor.
You should make sure that you speak forward, though. That's going to be a thing.
All right.
Yeah. Here, can you look right here?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
So, we have Hardtop, who is the driver of the gantry, and we also have Payload, who is the astronaut. Payload version 2 came with the Crusader, which is a mold of this. His handles, the arms for his jetpack tend to be very, very hard to find. They were easily lost, just like Hardtop's microphone. So having these guys complete was tough.
It came with both of them?
Yes, it came with 2. It's a big vehicle.
Now, one of them driving the actual
The one's the driver for...
And one of them was driving this,
correct.
Right?
Hardtop is the driver for the gantry. This fella right here in blue.
Yeah. And the
came with a microphone and a pistol.
Just for folks that may not realize, the gantry is the
crawler.
The transport
yes.
part. Okay.
And you can tell he's wearing a hard hat. He looks more like a ground support guy.
He looks like the guy driving the
He's
space
not going
shuttle.
in space into this. Yep.
However, the other dude definitely...
His gun is very unique. It's a pistol. GI Joe pistols tend to be easily lost. His is a very unique pistol.
It's big. It looks like very long.
Well, thank God it's big because it's easier to lose. Get a good shot of that pistol.
I can actually, if you give me 1 second,
I can hold it steady enough.
I can autofocus on it. I don't think that's working.
And then,
you guys get the idea.
Because he's white, he tends to get discolored. He's not that bad. He's in pretty good shape.
He looks great
but
on
those
camera.
arms,
he looks great.
If you see the arms on either side of his backpack, they tend to be lost very easily. So trying to find those is tough. And there's a lot of repros out there, which...
repros are never good.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan, but they are what they are. So here you go with the booster and the actual Defiant. This is the Defiant, this piece right here.
Just the little guy.
Yep. That's the shuttle. Space shuttles were all the rage in the 80s. We miss our space shuttle program, to be honest with you. And earlier we were talking about how they connect. Now, if you see here, there's a small metal mechanism.
And is that the hook?
Yeah, it's like a hook that connects the nose.
And it's metal.
To the top of this. Yeah, it's actually really well done.
That's interesting that it's metal. I can't recall very many toys that had metal.
GI Joe didn't use much metal, except for axles for wheels and such. There's not much metal.
Oh yeah, of course.
So you can pick this up and it's pretty. I'm not going to really shake it, but you can see that it stays together really well. Now let's see if I can get this.
Uh-oh.
I think there's a little button right here. See, it's just a little...
Oh, it's just like a little slide lock kind of.
Let's talk about the booster. Obviously, the booster and the Defiant are made of different plastics. The booster's plastic is a little bit darker, and the Defiant is a bright white. So here's the metal latch, and all it is a little button that latches to the bottom of the Defiant shuttle. Now, this is, again, a vehicle and a playset all in one.
This thing is crazy. I cannot think of... I've said this already. I can't think of another single thing that has this much going on.
There's not. Like I said, it's better than the flag.
It's crazy.
So here is the cockpit of the booster.
Room for 3.
I gotta tell you, it should have come with 3 figures.
At
because
least.
it's 3 vehicles.
It's 3, yeah, at least 3 guys.
I'm trying to think of any other GI Joe vehicles that came with multiple figures.
The Terradrome only came with the Firebat,
Firebat
right?
and AVAC, yeah, I can't think of any
it
other.
came with 2.
No.
The Terradrome only came with 1?
1 figure.
Oh, okay. The AVAC is a vehicle. Sorry.
Is a figure. He's the
The
pilot.
Firebat is the
vehicle, yeah.
Again, I don't know that much about GI Joe.
Right. So, you got 3 control panels here.
Mark is telling us not to forget the Star Trek reference in the cockpit. Mark, I think you're teaching us something.
4 here. Well,
what do we have in there?
I'm looking for a Star Trek reference. It might be the monitor screen up front, because there's a monitor here, which is really cool. If you look, you see that monitor?
Yes, that's very Star Trek.
Yeah. And then you got the 2 forward seats, and then the main, captain seat.
It's very Star Trek. You've got the captain's chair, you've got the 2 forward seats, the large screen in front.
Kind of a communications seat here. This is just fun to play with. Let alone this giant vehicle. Just this is fun to play with.
I can't get over this. This thing's crazy. I had no idea. Now what's inside there?
So this is where it becomes a playset.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of forget how to open it.
Best review ever.
All
the
right.
seat configuration. Yeah, Mark. That was very obvious.
Yeah, the seat configuration with the monitor in front.
What?
So now, if you look, before I do this. I just want to make sure I get it down low. Come on, baby. Oh, there's just so much plastic.
It's bumping into one of the seats back there.
And this is why
the seat back there.
This is why it would break easily, because there's so many pieces and parts.
Please do not break this thing live on camera.
I'm not going to. It's not a secret. It's the way that the hinge is back here.
Mark is suggesting you take the door out.
So, alright, let's just put it together.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I don't... So this is now... The interior here is reminding me a lot of the flag. Around the edges of the flag, I think, there are these little footholds for everybody.
You have to turn the seats in here so you don't hit the seats. This could easily break. There's a couple little plastic seats inside.
Wow.
So this turns into a playset. And this is what it looks like inside. You have
pull
levels.
Pull it quite a bit so that they can really get the look. Nah, that's really not helping.
Yeah, it's tough because...
It's huge. This thing is so big.
I wonder if there's space on the side of this I could put it in the front.
I bet there is, right in front of me.
Let me go to camera 1 with this. So for our first review, we really jumped
We really went into overdrive here.
Yep.
Wow. I really love all of the foot areas here. There's all kinds of like little steps people can go up and down.
Again,
I'm really loving that.
A vehicle and a playset in one.
It's crazy.
Because it's a vehicle, you can fly around. Then once you open this up, there's a whole playset going on in here with an elevator,
You really got your bang for your buck with this.
Oh my god.
There's so many foot pegs inside. There's literally dozens of foot pegs.
There are seats. I'm going to try.
I'm going to go back to camera 2.
Yeah. If you look, there are seats that kind of pop out.
That's cool.
You see that with a monitor in front of it, and you could, you put a figure in there, but then it stows. You push it in, and it stows away.
I can actually move the camera and pivot it around if you like.
Oh, why don't you work the camera?
Yeah,
That'd be
would you like
great.
that?
Yeah. Now we could really see inside. Thank you. Okay, again, this is our first review of this magnitude.
I'm not going to pick it up. I'm just going to slide it back and forth.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Let me get you a view in there. Now, if you look on the side here, there are chairs that they stow inside, and then when you want to play, they come out, and there's a monitor. You can put
take
figures.
your hand away. It's really dark.
Try from this side.
Yeah. There you go. You can see that one very well.
Here's your chair. Stows away, monitor.
Love it.
You got tons of engine kibble and stuff for your figures to work on. Pegs, you could.
Dude, there are so many foot pegs.
So many foot pegs.
Little dusty, little dusty.
One of my favorite things is the chamber down here. And you put a figure in, the glass door slides open, and that's like a stasis chamber. If you could see its shape, a figure shape, can you tell that?
I can see that, yeah. Just barely. There's quite a bit of shadow.
Very
in there,
sci-fi. GI Joe started out as purely military, except for maybe a laser trooper, but very 80s military. But then you got stasis chambers. You got places for your figures to. There's back pegs here for your figures to, sleep. I guess. When they're
that's very alien.
Going too far away. Well, this might be like a what's the chamber that Luke gets fixed in Empire Strikes Back? It has a name.
The back to tank.
Yes, that
definitely
kind of reminds me of that.
That's very back to tankish, yeah.
Yep. And then you got what else?
Getting a lot of the background
this
of the
opens.
story going on.
This is when you're going to do a spacewalk. Obviously, you go up the elevator and go out into space. And then there's all kinds of really cool kibble here. You have a gun emplacement that, if you couldn't tell before, this is a laser cannon, but
this is insane.
You want to carefully close it. It closes. So you really can't tell there's a gun there, which is super cool. There's all kinds of little panels here that are removable that, your space guy can go out and work on the ship. More panels on this side.
This is unbelievable. I'm trying.
Weren't really aware of how.
I was never into GI Joe as a kid. I think I watched a few episodes of the show. Never really. I think I had one GI Joe toy that someone left at my house by accident. This thing is insane. I thought Eternia was serious. I thought the flag was serious. This is Mark is right. Hours and hours of play value.
Hours of play value. If you ask me, so there are small clips inside here that when you push the chair in, it slides behind the clip and it stays there.
It's supposed to stay there.
It's supposed to stay there if the clips are still there. Then there's little rolling chairs here that actually, if you want to get close,
I'm not sure how close I can get.
This chair here, on either side there's one, can slide in and out to make room for your figure. So almost everything in this is like movable and easily breakable. It's very stressful.
Yeah,
this is a very stressful toy.
I'm stressed out just looking at it.
It's super cool. If you want to buy it and give it to your kid, you have a lot of money to blow. It's a very stressful toy to play with. Trying to close this is a pain.
Yeah, you're gonna give me agita.
I'm giving myself agita.
Mark said, "Do not forget the foot pegs on the ceiling of the platforms to simulate zero gravity."
Yes.
That is
so
awesome.
There are foot pegs when I had this open underneath the platforms.
Everything.
They thought of everything.
All right, now that's just the booster.
This is just the booster.
All right, give me the Defiant. I want to see that bad boy. Look how beautiful and white that is.
It is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it looks way more impressive when you have the decals on it. But like I said, I never wanted to stick the original older decals. I think I'd rather do repros. Again, so this is a space shuttle. First of all, it's an awesome design. This doesn't look like our space shuttle. It's a little more futuristic looking.
Yes, it's very smooth looking.
If you have this little thing here that when you lift the canopy, it actually stays attached. So when you lift the canopy, it actually stays attached.
I'm going to zoom in.
You have these amazing
I'm going to zoom in on that.
Control panels that have like a ratchet mechanism. So they're they're connected with each other, these control panels. You put your figure in and close, open, and then there's another seat in the far forward I'm not sure which is a pilot seat or not. I assume it's the very forward one.
Are there weapons on this thing?
Are there weapons on this thing? It is
So,
a GI Joe vehicle.
so is there a driver and a weapons operator?
It only comes with a driver, so...
Is there room for a driver and a weapons operator?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So then you have these that fold down. Unfortunately, I'm not speaking at the microphones on the other side of the room, so I'm not sure if it's picking us up.
You're doing all right. You're just to the edge of the green. You're okay.
So if you see that folds down, then the gun pops out. So they did so much to engineering on this to figure out, all right, let's hide the guns to make it aerodynamic, or they pop down. It's so much fun. All right. So there's another aspect of this that you can connect. Do you remember when I stood up the booster section and I stood up the platform? At the top of the platform, you can connect the bottom of the Defiant to the top of that booster platform, kind of like the International Space Station, like it's docked at the top of it.
That's cool.
Which is another thing they went all out. If they were like Richard Hammond in Jurassic Park. If they thought of it, they did it. No expense was spared making this toy. Which is why I'll argue to my death that it's a better toy than the flag. Yes, the flag is more iconic, but this is the better toy. I'm being careful. So then you have, just like the United States Space Shuttle, you have the docking bay. And like I said, in the Crusader version of this, there's no arm or this hose. There is a bay for a small pod that originally came with the Night Raven to bank in. And it's super awesome. And maybe we'll talk about that one day. And then you have the claw.
Oh, gosh.
With 2 laser cannons on it, just in case you want to kill what you're clawing.
I mean, you have to.
Right.
You never know.
And this is a hose that I believe attaches to the back of... Attaches there in that hole to the back of him. Payload. So when he's doing his spacewalk, he has a tether or oxygen or whatever it is. And this is interesting. It's just a
piece of hose.
Copper wire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's copper wire. That's really strange.
Maybe I lost the hose or something. I don't know if that's original. I'm thinking about
that seems a little strange.
I might have just found wire and said, "Oh, that's good." There might have been a bag of stuff missing, or I don't remember. It was 8 years ago.
I remember how big the box was.
It was gigantic and
Right.
moldy.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah.
The play value on this thing is absolutely insane.
I wonder if it was worth them making. Obviously, they used the mold again when they made the Crusader. We can go back to camera 1. Obviously, when they made the Crusader, they got more, once you make a mold and then reuse it, well, all the money basically was already spent on the original use of the mold. So reusing a mold, kind of like the Night Raven and then the Sky Patrol versions of things and the Tiger Force versions of things, the molds were already done, so they were able to sell more toys using the same mold. But I wonder, with what they spent on this, Hasbro was making money hand over fist in the 80s with GI Joe. If you watch the Toys That Made Us GI Joe episode, I wish they did a specific 80s. They maybe split it into 2, the 12-inch and the 80s and up, because Hasbro ruled the world. There was no better toy in the market than GI Joe stuff. So of course, they were feeling good and they created something this big. But this was it. I mean, they did big toys after this. The General comes to mind, but never to this scale. I don't think any toy company has done anything like this. Not to this extent.
This is not a toy.
If you want to name the premier play sets of all the 80s, the bigger ones, you got Eternia, which is big and it has a mechanized rail system, which is very interesting.
It's up there.
But still, if you look at the tower and the 2 smaller towers come with, very basic.
Very basic, very very plain. Not they're caricature versions of Snake Mountain.
Think about They had to design the wheels, the mechanisms that hold the wheels, the guns, these cannons on the back. Everything is kind of movable on this. These cannons on the back slide in and out to be stowed. Everything does something on this thing. It's not a playset. It's hard to pin down exactly what it is. It's a playset and a toy. You know, the Terradrome was a playset. You couldn't push it around and drive it around.
It was a place where they went. This is a moving thing that's a thing inside of a thing inside of a thing. This is crazy.
I could sit here and play with it for hours, that's for sure. And
You
I should probably stick
You have been.
stickers to it. But really, we just wanted to do a overview of what we think, or what I think, what Justin from Farpoint thinks.
Yes.
Is the best, not my favorite, but the best G.I. Joe vehicle.
And that's a nice way to put it.
There's a difference.
I can't argue with you.
Yeah. There's a difference between my favorite and what is the most extraordinary. This is maybe the most extraordinary toy of the 1980s. It's hard. I'd love to argue that. If anybody in the comments wants to say what they think is the most extraordinary toy, don't say your favorite. Don't say what you think is the most iconic. But as far as being over the top extraordinary, I can't think of another toy like this that compares.
Over the top is the perfect phrase to describe this thing. This is 3 toys in one, but it's really more than that. It is definitely over the top. They went overboard. They went hard with this thing. This is crazy. Mark says the flag was only as good as having other toys to enjoy it.
The flag,
what
honestly,
good is your flag if you don't have anything to land on?
The flag is a table.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And before it came out, listen, no, if the flag didn't happen, this wouldn't have happened. Because
that's a good way to look at it.
In 1985, the fact that they made a aircraft carrier for these toys to play on, you know, the toys were getting bigger and bigger between Star Wars and He-Man and GI Joe. It was a great era for us to grow up in. Then you get to the flag in '85, and the other toy makers must have looked at Hasbro like, what? You guys are insane.
We cannot possibly compete with you.
And then Hasbro said, oh, you think we're insane now? And 1987, this came out, and I don't know if that led, G.I. Joe could only sustain itself so long in the 80s because those of us who were the right age in 82 when it got relaunched, by the time 88, 89 came around, we were, cars and music and
girls.
Puberty. I couldn't bring this to show and tell in my freshman year of high school. I would, now I would, because I embrace the nerd I am now. But not then. And
wow, this thing's crazy.
What an extraordinary toy.
Whew.
And an extraordinary time. And we're really going to focus on more stuff from that time, because it was a heck of a time to be a kid. And it's the thing that connects every one of us that comes in the store. Like, this is the conversation. The reason we're doing this is because when people come in our store and our friends sit at this table and talk, these are the conversations we have. We would be sitting around this thing right now having the exact same conversation. And people might be arguing with me, like, oh, it's not as good as the flag. They'd be wrong, but they can argue with me all they wanted.
Mark says he was still into toys. He was a late bloomer.
So I was probably still into toys. I just didn't want to admit it. That's just the way that was.
So a lot of my toys ended up going into storage when I moved when I was about 7. So I got out of certain toys and then into other toys because I ended up not getting that stuff back out of storage for a very, very long time. So a lot of my My Little Ponies, and one of the reasons I still collect them and want to collect them again is because I didn't have them for so long. So we all have our things, man.
So yeah, Mark's right. The Mobile Command Center was next, and it was big. But it wasn't this insane. But it was another vehicle that could be a vehicle and a playset, and I love the idea of that. What could you do with the flag? It didn't float. The flag, if you look deeply at the flag, it's just a frame. It's a frame with flat panels on top of it. And although the concept and it's beautiful, it's a beautifully made toy, it's just a table. Whereas they did the next
can't argue.
line of big GI Joe things. The Mobile Command Center, the General, they were all vehicles as well as play sets, which there's more play value in that. And the flag took up half of your bedroom.
More than half.
Freddie. So Freddie said the flag was cool. The flag still is super cool. And I gotta tell you, if I left this set up here in the store and I had a flag set up in the store, the flag gets more oohs and ahs.
Yeah.
Because it's the flag. It's iconic. I said this is the best or the most decadent of the toys. The flag is the most iconic. People see Eternia, for instance, and they don't know what it is. So few kids had it, and it doesn't have that iconic status that the flag had.
Most folks think that it's Thundercats because of the giant cat head on the front there.
And not until I say that's Eternia and He-Man. I mean, everybody's impressed by it, but it doesn't carry that status. The flag has the status.
Yes, it's
no doubt about it.
It's incredibly iconic, and it's just crazy. Mark says he was still playing with Hasbro Flying Fighters on his college campus when he was 20.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Whew.
So, that's it. We just want to have a little conversation about this.
So what is the next from Retro to Right Now that we want to do? I have been dying to do D&D for years. But I have always wanted to get more iconic pieces and important pieces for my collection. I think I'm to a point now where I'm ready. I think I'm ready to do D&D. So, it's going to be like 3 hours long, though.
Well, so maybe mention in the comments. So we're going to do Dungeons & Dragons next. Is that going to be Dungeons & Dragons, the role-playing game and the LJN toy line? Or are we going to separate that into two things? That's a long talk if we do it all.
Maybe we do two. Maybe we do part 1 and part 2.
I think we do
part one, the books.
First and second edition.
Yeah.
The 80s early, the stuff that got into it.
The original
and the
stuff.
Toys that went in the same era.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you VIPs enjoyed hanging with us.
Yes. Speaking of VIPs.
Mark, we're going to be doing lots of reviews, so I will review Mobile Command Center.
I'm going to put our Patreon link back up there for anyone who's watching this on YouTube after the fact. You could have been part of this live audience. You could have been shooting us questions and comments. Right up there, patreon.com/farpointtoys. You can become a VIP for as little as $5 per month.
That's it. And the more people we have in signing up for that, the more engagement we're going to have when we do these reviews. We wanted to start it off with a bang, and this is a bang.
I'm pretty sure that this is as big of a bang as we
possibly. There might be other reviews that are more in depth or more knowledgeable, but we want to have fun. We kind of want to show off.
This is just Justin having fun, showing off his amazing
and breaking it.
Previously unbroken mint. It was basically new old stock. The thing was sealed.
I'm gonna have to buy new gantry doors, right?
I mean, listen, your birthday just passed, so maybe we wait until the next major holiday.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out.
This was fun.
Next one's coming soon.
I can't wait to do another one. D&D. I'm telling you, D&D is next.
All right, D&D is next. You're here first.
Yes. Do an MLP review.
We will.
I could do that too.
Listen, here's another thing. Mention in the comments.
Yes.
What you would like to see us talk about.
What you want to see us talk about.
We have an entire toy store and personal collection worth of stuff.
Yes.
Whether it's down to one small toy or an entire toy line, we don't mind coming out and sitting in and talking about toys. So.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on From Retro to Right Now.